Welcome to Storycraft Portal, where every tale is a journey of emotions, and every story isn't just told, it's felt. Today's story is one of innocence shattered, the haunting tale of an 11-year-old girl, Sierra Friar, who woke up one morning to the sound of screams and shattering glass, only to discover that her family would never be the same again. This is the story of betrayal born out of forbidden love, where a daughter helped orchestrate her own father's murder, and a young girl was left to witness the destruction of everything she called home. It's a story that grips your soul and forces you to ask, can love truly conquer all, or does it sometimes destroy everything in its path? It was just another quiet morning in the small town of Ontario, Oregon. 11-year-old Sierra Friar lay in bed, wrapped in her blanket, half awake, when a piercing scream cut through the silence. Her eyes flew open. The sound of glass shattering echoed through the house. She froze. For a few seconds, there was nothing but silence, then muffled voices, angry, desperate. Her heart pounded as she tiptoed to her bedroom door. She opened it slightly and peered out. The hallway was dark. The smell of something metallic hit her nose, blood. She moved cautiously toward the living room. What she saw next would never leave her. The couch was stained red, and her father was gone. No sign of Ellie, her sister. Just the lingering chaos of something terrible. Sierra backed away, trembling. This wasn't a nightmare. It was real, and it was only the beginning. The house was no longer a home. It had turned into a memory that bled at every corner. Sierra stumbled back into her room, her tiny hands shaking as she tried to dial 911. Her voice cracked when the operator answered. "There's blood, my dad, they're gone," she whispered. Police arrived quickly. Yellow tape wrapped the walls that once held laughter. Officers moved like shadows, photographing pain, collecting fragments of a broken morning. Sierra sat wrapped in a blanket, unable to speak as detectives whispered behind her. They couldn't find Aaron Friar or Ellie. It looked like they had vanished. But to Sierra, something felt wrong. Not like they'd left, like someone had taken them. Her sister's phone was still charging in the kitchen. Her dad's shoes were by the door. Nothing made sense, except the couch, soaked in truth. And Sierra, lost in questions that no child should ever have to ask. Detectives combed every inch of the house, but there were no signs of forced entry. No straged. No screams had woken the neighbors. It was as if Aaron and Ellie had simply disappeared. Sierra's account was all they had, an 11-year-old's nightmare that was now their only lead. She told them about the noises, the broken glass, and the red on the couch. But when asked about her sister, Sierra hesitated. She was different lately. Secretive, she said softly. Ellie had changed. She used to laugh at breakfast and hug their dad every night. But lately, she stayed out late, whispered on the phone, avoided eye contact. There was someone new in her life. A boy, Gavin. Sierra didn't know him, but she remembered the name, and how her father's voice would drop when he said it. The police wrote it down. A name, Gavin McFarland. The first thread in a web of darkness. Ellie had been living a double life. Behind her quiet smiles and sudden silences was a storm Sierra never saw coming. Gavin McFarland was older, barely 17, tall, sharp-featured, and always lurking outside school gates in his beat-up car. Their father, Aaron, had warned her to stay away from him. He didn't trust Gavin, thought he was reckless, dangerous. And when Ellie refused to listen, arguments turned to shouting matches. Doors slammed. Tears fell. Sierra would hear it all from her room. Gavin had started sneaking in late at night. Sierra once caught a glimpse of him through the window. Dark hoodie, cigarette in hand. There was something cold in his eyes. When Aaron found out Ellie had been lying, he told her it had to stop. She screamed at him, "You can't control me." That night, something broke in their home. And maybe in Ellie too. Days turned into nights, and still, no sign of Aaron or Ellie. Then, a break. Traces of blood found in the back of Aaron's truck, parked near an old logging trail outside town. It wasn't just blood, it was his. Enough to suggest he hadn't walked away. The police declared it a homicide investigation. Sierra was moved to stay with relatives. She didn't cry. She stared at walls. Her father was gone, and now Her sister might be part of it. Rumors spread fast. Whispers at school, glances at grocery stores. The Friar girl, they said. The one who saw it all. Gavin disappeared too. His house was abandoned. Neighbors said he'd driven off with 2 other teens days earlier. One of them was Russell Jones, a name that would soon unravel everything. But Sierra didn't know that yet. All she knew was something evil had touched her home, and it had Ellie's name written on it. Detectives uncovered texts between Ellie and Gavin, messages that turned the case from tragedy to betrayal. "He'll never let us be together," one read. Another, "I'll do it. Just say when." The timeline began forming. Gavin, Ellie, and Russell had planned something. Sierra had unknowingly been sleeping just feet away from the conspiracy. Russell, a troubled teen with a record, had been Gavin's friend since middle school. Together, they had mapped out every step: when Aaron would be home alone, where to park, how to silence the scene. But things hadn't gone as smoothly as they hoped. Aaron fought back. That's when the blood spilled. Ellie had lured him to the living room. Gavin struck first. Russell helped move the body. The text revealed a coldness that didn't match the sister Sierra once knew. And now, the law was catching up. The hunt for 3 teenagers had begun, and so had justice. Gavin was the first to fall. He was caught trying to cross into Idaho. Police surrounded him in a gas station parking lot. He didn't resist, just stared, hollow-eyed, like he knew it was over. Ellie was found 2 days later, hiding in an old friend's house. She cried when they cuffed her. "I didn't mean for it to go that far," she said. Russell turned himself in. Maybe guilt had eaten him alive. The town was shaken. Headlines screamed betrayal, and Sierra watched it all unfold on TV. Her sister, now a killer. Her father, never coming home. And she, the only one left to remember who they really were. Reporters stood outside her new home. Neighbors whispered, but Sierra stayed silent. She had seen it all. The love, the hate, the fall. And now, justice had a face. But closure, that was still far away. The courtroom was silent, heavy with tension as Ellie Friar was led and wearing a jumpsuit far too big for her small frame. Sierra sat behind a wall of strangers, journalists, lawyers, the curious. She clutched a photo of her dad, her thumb tracing the edges. Ellie's face was pale, her eyes swollen from tears. When asked to speak, her voice trembled. "I was scared. I thought he was the enemy." Gasps echoed. Sierra didn't flinch. She had heard worse in her nightmares. Gavin pled guilty first. Cold, direct. "No he parlé." Russell, voice cracking, said, "We thought we knew what love was." "We didn't." The judge nodded, emotionless. The verdicts were swift. Gavin, 25 to life. Ellie, 25 years. Russell, 15. But for Sierra, no number would bring back her dad or erase the image of Ellie's face the day it all shattered. Justice had spoken, but healing would take a lifetime. 8 years passed, but the scars didn't fade. They grew quieter. Sierra never returned to the old house. She couldn't, but she never stopped telling the truth. At 19, she sat in front of the 48 hours cameras, sharing her story for the first time. "I was 11, she said, "and I watched love become a weapon." Her voice was steady. The world leaned in. Her words painted memories no child should carry, of screams, betrayal, of blood on soft furniture. She spoke about Ellie, not with hate, but with heartbreak. "She was my sister and my friend until she wasn't." The interview spread quickly. Viewers wept. Some called her brave, others called it closure. But Sierra knew closure didn't exist. Not really. Only the courage to speak. Her voice had once been lost in trauma. Now, it was the only thing that brought light to a story the world needed to remember. The court closed the file, but the story didn't end there. Sierra visited her father's grave every year on the same day. The day she lost him. The day she lost her sister. She would leave wildflowers and whisper, "I'm okay, Dad." Was it true? Some days. Others, not so much. The town slowly moved on. The Friar name faded from headlines, but never from Sierra's heart. Ellie sent her letters from prison, some filled with sorrow, others with excuses. Sierra read them all, then locked them away. Forgiveness wasn't a straight road. Russell found faith behind bars. Gavin never spoke again. And Sierra? She lived. She studied psychology, helped other kids who lived through silence and shadows. The case was officially closed. But Sierra knew stories don't end with sentences. They live in the ones who survive them. And sometimes, survival is the most powerful justice of all.